Hello there and welcome to yet another edition of Clearview. It's an opportunity for us to meet with you and you meeting with us, and we discuss current issues within the nation and even outside the nation as the case may be. This week we are entering the humanitarian world, we are entering the philanthropic world, we are entering a world of SOS, and this is coming on the heels of a visit we paid to an IDP camp on the outskirts of Abuja, to be precise, in Masaka. Well, we really thank God for that journey because it was tortuous. It was not an easy trip. Immediately when we now came back, we were on air and we went all out to talk to people, to come to the aid of these IDPs in their settlements. And one of the organizations that quickly responded is Victim Support Fund. And very soon, we'll go all out to show you our visit with Victim Support Fund and another organization to this IDPs camp. Meanwhile, that is the reason why we are having as our guest on this week's edition of Clearview, Professor Sunday Ochoche. He is the Executive Director of Victim Support Fund. Prof, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
But then before we go into this question and answer session with Prof, let's take a visit to the IDP camp.
Save our souls. A pathetic cry is coming from the camp. Snakes have invaded us. Malaria fever is ravaging us. Communicable diseases are taking over the better part of us. We call on philanthropic organizations, government at various levels, NGOs, churches, mosques, and so on to come to our aid. Contact us through these numbers: 0816 123 7062 or 0815 513 5225. Save our souls.
Biosafety Management Agency, Dr. Rufus Ebegba, who is ably represented by Mrs. Scholastica Bello, the head of news, AIT, Mr. Sam Odion Bello, the management of this camp, gentlemen of the press, dearly beloved brethren. My name is Emmanuel Ojo. I work with the Nigeria Foundation for the Support of Victims of Terrorism, also known as Victim Support Fund. I'm here representing my Executive Director, Professor Sunday Ochoche, who is unavoidably absent due to exigencies of the work. The Victim Support Fund was established in 2014 at the peak of the insurgency, when women and children were at the receiving end largely of the pangs of the insurgency. In 2015, we commenced our interventions prioritized for women and children to facilitate the restoration of livelihood through economic empowerment for women, education support for children, foster care program for orphaned children, support to hospitals that have reputation for providing free medical services for victims of bomb blasts and armed attacks, and of course reconstructing devastated public buildings. You will agree with me that the enormity of the devastation of infrastructure, especially the people component caused by Boko Haram, is such that no single agency can respond. And that is why we have come in collaboration with the National Biosafety Management Agency and the AIT to provide relief items to this IDP camp. A couple of weeks we took delivery of these items that was made possible by well-meaning Nigerians out of benevolent gestures, and I want to encourage all Nigerians to emulate this gesture, who have donated food items, among which are Indomie, toiletries, Maggi, oil, rice, and clothing to support the IDPs in this camp. Dearly beloved brothers and sisters, I want to assure you that the Victim Support Fund will continue to mobilize funds to provide effective and appropriate support to all victims of insurgency nationwide, and as well set the background for peace building and reconciliation. I wish to, however, hand over these items to the management of the staff of this IDP camp in collaboration with a partner, a representative of the National Biosafety Management Agency, for redistribution, and as well a commission on behalf of the chairman of the Victim Support Fund, General T.Y. Danjuma, and my executive director, Professor Sunday Ochoche, the redistribution of these items with immediate effect to the glory of God and to the benefit of our beloved brethren in this camp. Thank you so much. So on behalf of the Nigeria Foundation for the Support of Victims of Terrorism, I hereby present to you these two items for redistribution to brothers and sisters. Thank you.
I am Mrs. Bello Scholastica, the head of Planning, Research and Statistics of the National Biosafety Management Agency.
Quickly, what is National Biosafety Management? What do they do?
National Biosafety Management Agency is the agency in Nigeria that ensures that the application of modern biotechnology and the use of GMO, that is genetically modified organisms, are safe to human and the environment.
You're presenting items to victims of terrorism. Is this the first time the organization is doing such a gesture?
Yes, this is the first time we are presenting directly to IDPs, although we have done some donations to other organizations like hospitals and a few other persons that come around to ask for one thing or the other. Actually, before we came here, we did a background search. We sent out some officers to some IDPs to find out how best to send the items who contributed to the IDPs. Our findings was, it was not quite interesting, because some of the IDPs we visited, we discovered that a whole lot of people there were not quite IDPs. And while we were in one of the camps, some people brought in some items. As soon as the items got there, they were rushed by those that were strongest amongst those that were present. It was during our research we find out about your organization, that is the Victim Support Fund, and our impression after discussion with them and what we've seen today, it's like it's a place to go if you have to reach the IDPs directly.
These items you presented today, is it individual efforts or is it government thing from the organization?
Well, it's the individual efforts. The DG, Mr. Rufus Ibegba, actually encouraged all staff to contribute what we had to this outing.
Okay, so now that you're here, what's the next step you're going to take?
I'll take my report back to the office. I'm sure the management will meet and discuss on how to contribute further. From what we are seeing here, these people need a lot of support. And what we have done right now is just a drop in the ocean. Putting into cognizance, the federal government cannot do it all. Not a single individual, nor organization. It all requires the contribution of all meaning-well Nigerians. And the fact that these people are here do not mean that this is the end for them. I am very sure and convinced in myself that one day, one or two of these persons here will grow up to represent this country in one way or the other. My people, my sisters, my children, my brother, you are here today. God has not forgotten you. Do not forget yourself. Do not despair, for tomorrow is large. You are capable of ruling this nation and beyond. Have confidence in yourself.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Save our souls. A pathetic cry is coming from the camp. Snakes have invaded us. Malaria fever is ravaging us. Communicable diseases are taking over the better part of us. We call on philanthropic organizations, government at various levels, NGOs, churches, mosques, and so on to come to our aid. Contact us through these numbers: 0816 123 7062 or 0815 513 5225. Save our souls.
Again, I welcome you to Clearview. And like I did say, we are in a world of Save Our Souls. Professor Sunday Ochoche, you are the Executive Director of Victim Support Fund. Exactly what is VSF out to achieve?
Thank you very much. The Victim Support Fund is a creation of a presidential committee set up under the chairmanship of General Danjuma to, among other things, raise funds to support victims of insurgency, of terrorism in Nigeria, to determine who has been affected by terror activities in Nigeria, determine how they have been affected, and determine the nature of support they require, and to administer the relevant support that is these victims will require. And so the Victim Support Fund, it's a foundation that was registered by this presidential committee on the support of victims of terrorism in Nigeria, like I said, chaired by General Danjuma. So technically the Victim Support Fund, which is registered with the CSA as a limited by guarantee entity, is a private sector-led effort in partnership with the federal government of Nigeria to support the victims of terrorism in Nigeria.
All right, so we cannot outrightly say VSF is an NGO, no.
No, we cannot outrightly say it's an NGO. Neither can we say outrightly that. Neither can we say it is government. It is definitely not government, but because the bulk of our funding comes from private Nigerians, from corporate Nigerians. Only limited resource of only some small part of our resources have come from government, and it was a one-off support to Victim Support Fund.
Okay, does the support go only to victims of insurgency, not like accidents, fire accidents, or automobile?
We are set up to support victims of terrorism and insurgency. So we are not mandated to support victims of flood, for example, victims of accidents, for example.
Herdsmen's attack?
No, we are not set up for that. But when it is defined by the authorities as some form of insurgency or terrorism, yes, we'll come in at that point.
All right. Some organizations who are also doing this kind of thing, they have their concentration in the Northeast. Is that the way VSF is being run to?
When you say some organizations who do this kind of thing, there are different organizations with different mandates, with different areas of focus. And so they will normally be present where the greatest need is. So if you are set up, for example, to support issues of desertification, you will expect that you have greater presence in desert-related areas. You will not be doing much in the forest area, for example. So we are set up to support victims of terrorism in Nigeria, and that's why we are the Nigeria Foundation for the Support of Victims of Terrorism. The bulk of the victims, the bulk of individuals that have been affected, institutions that have been affected, are in the Northeast, especially in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states. And so, yes, because of that, the bulk of our interventions have been in the Northeast. Not that that is the only places we have worked. We are, for example, also supporting a camp in Benin, where so many of the children from the Northeast, especially Borno, have been taken for care, for studies. We are supporting that center. We are supporting some hospitals in Kano, where some attacks by Boko Haram are taking place, and a lot of injuries, a lot of victims. We are supporting at least 2 hospitals in Kano. And even here in Abuja, the National Hospital is one of the hospitals that we are supporting following a number of the bomb attacks in Abuja. So where we follow the victims, we follow the attacks where it happens to provide succor for the victims.
All right. In fact, that has been displayed in the film we just showed before the interview, where we saw officials of Victim Support Fund in Nasarawa State. That's a good one. Now, so far, what can you readily point out now that VSF has achieved?
We have been in full operation for slightly over 2 years. And within this period, we are probably the most visible agency intervening to support the state governments, the local governments, the individual and communities that have been affected by Boko Haram in the Northeast. We have focused on targeting persons to address some of the human tragedies that they have suffered, as well as institutional recovery to enable people return from their places of displacement. And so, for example, one of the areas we have focused on is education. You ask the governor of Borno State, for example, what is the cause of Boko Haram? Or what are the causes of Boko Haram? And he will tell you, number 1, education, number 2, education, number 3, education. So education has been one of the areas we have prioritized. And what we do here is to encourage children to return to school, is to provide support for schools so that education that has been interrupted for a number of years can quickly recover. And one of the things we do here is to selected schools that have been affected, we provide all the school materials they require: books, bags, teaching aids for the school for them to continue. And at the moment, we have a total of 80,000 children on this program. is the same support we are providing for the camp in Benin, where we are supporting with educational materials for those children to continue in school. We also have the livelihood programs. People have been displaced. Economic activities have ceased in many of these places for a couple of years. Now that things are stabilizing, people are returning to host communities. What do they return to? Where do they take off from? And we have two major components right now for our livelihood and economic recovery program. One is the Women Economic Empowerment Program, where we focus on women who are single-headed family, who are all by themselves heading their homes. Maybe they have lost their husband, or they don't know where they are, and today they have to fend for themselves and fend for their children. And we provide financial support for them to start some form of business. We have over 8,000 women on this program right now. What we do is to provide them with a minimum of 20,000 naira. It may look small if you're in Abuja, but in some of these places, that's a lot of money. And from our experiences, they have been able to deploy this money to achieve so much already. Then we have the agro support program as the second component of our livelihood. And this, we target households that are returned, and we have identified have arable land and are farmers, and we provide all the seedlings they require, the inputs for farming, and also provide some cash support to enable them begin farming activities. The next component of that is also the animal, rearing component, where we have right now, we just flagged off the pilot program in Yobe State, in Gaidam to be precise, where 800 animals were distributed to families.
In fact, this is a success list. Now, briefly, because time is no longer our friend, how can victims access your support? Or it's the BSF that must go out to look for them?
No, we do our studies, we do our baseline, and we, like any organization, we have our area of focus. Okay. If you take the UN system, for example, children is about UNICEF. UNDP will not do children. So we have our area of focus, which is defined for us by the Presidential Committee. Okay. So the Presidential Committee that we serve define our area of focus and priorities. Okay. And our focus areas right now are the areas I have described. We go to the field then to determine which are the most pressing areas. And when we go out for the individuals, we work closely with communities. For example, the selection of the first 1,000 women on the Women Economic Empowerment Program happened in IDP camps in Maiduguri. And we got there, the women themselves were the one who gave us the 1,000 women. Yes, we came and we said, we have this fund, this from what we see, this is what we are planning to do. You determine the business you want to do, the enterprise you want to engage with, and you also determine the 1,000 women who are going to benefit from it. Okay. And generally, whoever benefits, we work in tandem with the communities, the victims themselves, and the different authorities.
Now finally, Prof, how can Nigerians contribute to this fund?
Thank you very much. Like I said, the bulk of the fund we have has been given by Nigerians. Individuals, agencies, business authorities that made the initial contribution for the establishment of the Victim Support Fund. If you go to our website, www.victimsupportfundng.org, there is also provision for donation, and a number of people are donating through that. There are also people, we've had a case of a retired senior military officer who wrote a book on Boko Haram, and the bulk of the proceeds from it, he came to Victim Support Fund and said, this is a check from what I made from writing the book, and I'm donating it to Victim Support Fund for the support of the victims. There are other agencies like what you showed in the visit to Masaka, where the biodiversity agency, in recognition of the integrity of Victim Support Fund, and believing that this is an agency they can entrust resources to, the staff got together, raised funds, procured food and non-food items, and brought to Victim Support Fund and say, this is our contribution. You determine where it is going to go. And we work together with AIT that has also indicated wanting to partner with us to reach out to the IDPs to use the support, the assistance that was given by this staff from the federal government agency to go to reach them. So there are different ways by which people can reach us. And we want to assure Nigerians that every kobo given to VSF, we can assure them will go towards the purpose for which it is given.
Thank you very much, Prof. Well, viewers, that will be all on this week's edition of Clearview, which we took you out there with the support of Victim Support Fund and Biodiversity. And we've had it all. They welcome donations, and they've been thriving in partnership with the Nigerian government. My guest has been Professor Sunday Ochoche, and he is the Executive Director, Victim Support Fund. Prof, once again, we thank you for finding time out of none to come and join us on this program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof.
God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Save our souls. A pathetic cry is coming from the camp. Snakes have invaded us. Malaria fever is ravaging us. Communicable diseases are taking over the better part of us. We call on philanthropic organizations, government at various levels, NGOs, churches, mosques, and so on to come to our aid. Contact us through these numbers: 0816 123 7062 or 0815 513 5225. Save our souls.